Morning, everyone. Welcome to Mornings with Mova, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, and if you see me, if you can only see my arm, then you know. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. I'm trying to get my microphone set up for my Instagram because I want them to be able to hear me over there. Good, we're here. Good morning. Good morning. It's my 10th year anniversary. And so I'm running a little bit behind schedule because, I was sitting there reminiscing with Mr. Sanders about, being married for 10 years and how it feels like two. And yeah, a little. So, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So much going on today. I want to, good morning, Marguerite and Nakia. Take a deep breath, Andrea, because there's a lot. I am interviewing Black farmers today, farmers with green thumbs, Black farmers at 7 o'clock. It's my 10th year anniversary. And today is season 3, episode 3 of the A.Lawful Truth podcast. Good morning. Good morning. Marie Lambert is on this morning. Thank you, darlings. Thank you. Marie Lambert is on this morning to talk about, and on this episode, where you can find it on Substack, Spotify, and Apple. Lord have mercy. Jesus be all the fences in all the world. Slow down, Andrea. Slow down. So let me just tell you what this is, right? So a lifelong vow and a sudden illness. When E. Marie Lambert's husband Larry fell ill in 2008, they assumed it was a common cold, and then pneumonia, and then he experienced a loss of appetite, a spike in his blood sugar, and extremely shallow breathing. A health crisis began to unfold quickly. In this conversation with me, Marie shares the harrowing journey of Larry's sudden illness, the complexities of navigating that healthcare system, the daily realities of caregiving, and her profound reflections on the testing of those marriage vows spoken on their wedding day. Good morning. I would love for you all to check out season 3, episode 3 on the A Lawful Truth podcast. And it's really apropos, particularly today for me, where this is day 1 of the second. Well, my husband and I got married twice in 2015 on this day. In Pennsylvania with some of our friends who would not have been able to make it with us to where we were going to Rincon. And then 3 days later, we were in Rincon at the easternmost tip of Puerto Rico, where we got married in the water right by the beach at sunset. And so in 10 years of being married, we have experienced all kinds of things. I have gotten sick. My husband has almost died. We're just all sorts of things happening. And so it's really appropriate today that this episode of the A Lawful Truth podcast pops up right now, because what E. Marie Lambert describes is something I'm not sure many people would have been able to navigate. And so when we say take those vows seriously, know what you're walking into, it goes way beyond the wedding day. It goes way beyond the place settings and the people showing up and the gifts that you get, because when the rubber meets the road, man, it's a lot. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of work. And so if you don't like each other, if you're always fussing and complaining about what this one did versus what that one didn't do versus what, then you're not in the right space. You really need to care for each other in a way that makes all the difference in the world. Because I'm telling you, I can, as I was interviewing E. Marie Lambert, my heart went out to her because I erroneously assumed that her husband had dementia, right? Because he's young. I erroneously assumed that he, and I kept saying, how could he get dementia this early? And I've been watching her story and decided to interview her. So on this 10th year of my being married to Mr. on today, in the backyard with Judge Sherilyn Austin, with all our friends that we knew would not have been able to make it to Rincon with us, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. And to understand that as I chronicled everything that was going on for some things that were going on in our marriage, because we don't no one tells everything on social media, but I was intentional about curating the ups and downs of marriage, the great parts of it, the not so great parts of it. And I think the knock on wood, the hardest thing to date for us was when he had surgery and then almost died. And so that was something that made me realize the mortality of who I am with, and that while we already know that we're not going to live forever, just do it. And then I think of the people who were asked, their spouses, their significant others asked them to marry them, and they hemmed and hawed and said, well, we can wait a couple more years. Well, and then the person who they were hemming and hawing with suddenly died. I've had 2 instances of that this year. And then I've had instances of people calling me saying, you know what, I keep watching you and your husband, and I'm just going to pull the trigger and get married. They've been with these people for 6 years, 7 years, 9 years, 11 years, and just refused to get married because they were like, what if we get married and it doesn't work out? Take the risk, take the shot. If you're with someone for 6, 7 years and you really care about them and they care about you and they've shown you over and over again how much they love you, then just go ahead and do what you have to do, right? To my friends who have, good morning, Roslyn, Viola. Thank you, Viola. Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, Marguerite. To those of you who have lost spouses or significant others, please know that my heart is with you. And that while you may never forget them, I want you to continue to live in such a way. You find someone that loves you and treats you well. Don't say, I don't want to get married, or I don't want to be in a relationship because the last 2 people I was with, suddenly died. So this morning, E. Marie Lambert, please go listen. If you, the paid subscribers has already gotten their things, and this morning the rest of you did. I encourage you to go listen. I encourage you to give me your feedback about what you thought. I remember interviewing Kent July, who has metastatic prostate cancer, and he said, he told his wife, when they told him that his prostate cancer has spread, he sat with his wife and he said, I need you to go on and go live your life. I need you to, you've given me all that you can. It's been wonderful, 30 years, however long they've been together, but he was giving her permission to go live her life, and she opted to stay with Kent. She opted to sit with him. So if relationships are fickle for you, if you feel like the minute the rubber meets the road, you want to walk away, then don't do it, right? But if you are committed, like Kent and his wife are, if you're committed like my husband and I are, if you're committed like Kaki and Rob were before Rob passed away, we loved Rob. We got married in Kaki and Rob's backyard on this day 10 years ago. And Rob, they opened up their space, and Rob was like, come on, my girlfriend, we're going to do this. And they created this whole big thing with a trellis in their backyard. And all these people came, and people provided the food, and they provided the cake. And we had such a good time. And we had a good time understanding that there are things that may show up and happen in the marriage, and it did. Rob has since passed away. Every year I planted things in my garden that are still blooming after he passed away. That shows up every time I see it. I think about him. If it sounds like I'm rambling, y'all, I woke up this morning with such gratitude in my soul. My husband sent me the Flintstones happy anniversary thing, and every year I get an extra card for the year. So this year we have 10 cards for him for 10 years. And the gratitude that I feel, the gratitude that I want you all to feel, despite what it may feel like in your relationships, is incredibly important. Life is fickle. Things shift and change. So many people have died since COVID, randomly or with COVID, or all the other things that are going on around us. Please, 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 I'm begging you, reevaluate your relationships. Take a look at what's working and what's not working. Listen more to your spouses or to your significant others. You may not be married, but pay attention. Don't take the side of your friends and say, well, he's just going to have to understand, or she's just going to have to understand. Listen and pay attention to what's going on. There may be things that your spouse may not be saying to you that is actually happening with them in real time. And they're not willing to say it to you in front of a whole group of people. But if you know your spouse or your significant other, then you do what you need to do. Season 3, episode 3 of the A.Lawful Truth podcast is out. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Substack, which is where most of you are, and you can find it on Apple. Serena Martin is the producer. Eric Nixon is the editor of this podcast. They're doing an amazing job. And so, I just want to, every time another episode comes out that they've helped to curate after I've interviewed the people, I just keep wanting to say thank you, because my soul is filled with gratitude. Just filled with gratitude for all that they've done as a part of this team, the A Lawful Truth team. Whew. I feel like I just had next week, June 30th to July 4th, I will not be on the air. I have deserved. I deserve to have some sort of a vacation. And so this is going to be, this for me, so not particularly doing anything fantastic other than resting, because I do need to do it. And so I'm hoping that this morning, as I'm discussing with you E. Marie Lambert and her husband Larry and all that they're going through, I'm hoping that as I talk to you about my 10th year anniversary today, I'm hoping that as I continue to have dialogue with you around relationships and marriages and bringing therapists on and all kinds of folks for you to talk to, that you sit and take a deep look at the relationships that you are in. It is not okay to just assume that the people around you, the people that are in your sphere, the people that you told that you love, are just going to be okay because, you have other things that you want to do. Every so often I say to my husband, I'm checking the temperature of our marriage. How are we doing? How are we doing? What's going on? We know each other well enough now where if I start to get, I'm not nipping at his heels. He's like, Andrea, go sit down somewhere. Just sit down somewhere. We'll talk about this after you've calmed down. When you know each other, you're able to do those kinds of things. And if you're in a relationship right now where it is not in the best place, stop, take a deep breath, write out what is it that you want to talk about. Do not have a discussion in anger or frustration and say, these are the things that are going through my head right now. Sometimes we marry people and they're not the right people for us. That has happened many a time. But sometimes we get into these relationships and they are who we need and want, but we're so stiff-necked and we don't want to, say I'm sorry, and we don't want to say, I didn't get this right. There are ways to diffuse these kinds of discussions. And if you're in a relationship and that person will just never go away. If that person has left you and keep coming back, or if you've walked away and they keep coming back, I need you to revisit. There's something there, right? Think it through and do what you need to do. So good morning to all of you. Thank you, Laura. She says, you sure deserve the break, Marvel. Let me tell you, I'm exhausted. So we're here. Please go listen to Season 3, Episode 3 of the A Lawful Truth podcast. E. Marie Lambert talking about her husband suddenly becoming ill and they couldn't figure out what was going on with him. How would you navigate being in a relationship with those kinds of things happening to you day in and day out? It is incredibly important. Happy anniversary to my husband. Thank you, my darling. Thank you for 10 beautiful years of just dealing with my shenanigans. We're going off onto journeys sight unseen. Earlier this year, we jumped on a flight and we went and back to the scene of the crime. We call it the scene of the crime, the scene where we got married. I'll post about that later. And we just sat there and talked and just watched, where we walked out onto the sand at sunset at 5:30. The sun was setting. The people were sitting on the sand. Everybody was wearing white except me. And as he saw me turn the corner, he started to cry, and they captured him crying, right? Our little nieces carried down the 2 stuffed animals that he gave me when we first went on our date, and I think on our 3rd anniversary. I snuck those in our suitcases and brought them with us. Our children were there, right? There was no thought of our one son was daughter-in-law was already pregnant. That was Mr. Professor. And so now he's turned 10. He's now 10. He's turning 10 this year and doing all the things. And as a family, we've stayed as cohesive as we possibly can. Thank you, Brown Fisher. We've stayed as cohesive as we possibly can as a family. And right now, with all the things that are going around the world, we're having conversations with them about what to do if, should life change dramatically for all of us as it is happening in real time. So we went from being married in 2015, 10 years ago, to now having 4 grandchildren, four grandchildren. And they're the main concern for us as we navigate this new space of what's happening in the country. So, Marguerite says, I used to call the time of marital conversation as stop, drop, and roll. Shakila says, know your significant other love language. You know how and when to approach them. It makes a world of difference. Absolutely. Monica says, you truly deserve time off. Do what you need to do. We all need you well and whole. Thank you. Laura says, tell Mr. Happy Anniversary from all of us. He's listening. He's watching and listening. So you can tell him yourself, to make sure that we're all okay over here. My friend Anton Johnson, I interviewed him too, is needing a kidney, needs a kidney badly. And they told him when he called me in August of last year and said they told him he would not live past 7 to 8 months if he did not get a kidney. He's still here, but he's in dire need of a kidney. I went and had dinner with him and his husband yesterday. And so he's doing a fundraiser on July 24th. Once I get the rest of the information, it will be on a rooftop in Center City. I'd like to invite you all to be a part of that with him, to support him and love on him. So that's July 24th. I'll give you more. I am also working on curating a pop-up merch sale on August 3rd at the Wafe Hair Salon, navigating through that too, so that because I have merch, the merch is coming. I have people working on the merch, and we've gone through several iterations of what it should be. You've seen me wearing some of it over time, so we know the T-shirt that I had on yesterday is one that you all would love to have. I'm carrying my scissors because everybody's saying I would like you to cut out the neck and cut up the shirt and do all the things. So anybody who buys a shirt, I will sit there and cut it up for them the way they want it to be, right? So we're going to do that. So that's going to be August 3rd, God willing, and the creek don't rise, because the way things are going right now, I am literally taking things day by day. I also want you all to think through, how are you navigating in the space of feeling unsure and unsafe right now? I talk to my husband all the time about this. He says, I asked him this morning, I said, do you feel the energy? He said, I do. It's this uncertainty of not really knowing what's coming next, but we have to be able to try and live through without making it a full-blown, all-out fear about what is happening in the country and around the world right now. And so every day, just live. When I got to Anton yesterday, I'd gotten some cupcakes from Whole Foods, and his husband and I looked at each other and we said, eat the cupcake, just eat the cupcake, anime. Because, and so we just talked through all the things that are going on out here and how are we navigating? Who are your safe spaces? How are you navigating through those safe spaces? Tonight, I am going to, so my husband and I are going to spend some time today with each other. But what we really celebrate is the anniversary that's coming up 3 days from now. And so this evening, I'm going to go to an event with, what's his name? What's my baby's name? I'm looking at his face. David Alexander Jenkins. We got invited to an event, and so he's back in town. He flew in from London yesterday. We both got invited, and so I'm going to go with my husband's blessings to go hang out with him. And then I'm supposed to have dinner with another friend who we've been working on this for several months. The thing that I love about my marriage is that you literally, we can talk through things. It's not, oh my God, it's our anniversary, you can't, how could you, blah, 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 blah. I've looked back on my timeline, few of our anniversaries, this particular day, the 24th, I was traveling around the country, right? And then I got home in just enough time to celebrate my anniversary at the second date. Or when we got home, a few days later, he would have people waiting there for me with candles and a massage, and a chef came in and gave us dinner one year. So you just have to navigate and kind of figure out what you're going to do. And in marriages, I am not sure how people sometimes navigate this, but there are marriages where people have lost children, and you have to really work hard to come back from the loss of a child. It's just a lot. It's a lot. I was talking to my friend Denise, the one that travels with me across the country, and she says, Andrea, I don't understand why you because you have such a public persona and people see all sorts of things. What is on my social media is what I curate. It is deliberate. There are things you will never know if I don't tell you. And so I want us to be thoughtful about the things we put up, right? Thoughtful. I was very intentional about talking about Mr. and I, because I have met so many people who said Black people don't get married. Black people don't have good relationships. Black people, the husbands are always in jail, or the things that were said. And I learned this when I joined Facebook 2009 is when I began just curating stuff about family and love and the differences, in our lives. Because as people of color, there's always this assumption that we don't love each other, right? There's always this assumption that we don't have the same kinds of life as everybody else. And so that's where I am with that. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Erica. Thank you so much. It is 6:51. I should have my guests on shortly. So let me do a little bit of news. Jalen Hurts released Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts released a children's book called Better Than a Touchdown, and it's coming in March in 2020. Oh, to release the book, it's coming in March of 2026. Yesterday when I was reporting, I said that Anderson Cooper had to leave the CNN studios, and I assumed that it was here in the United States. He is actually in the Middle East. So that's what happened with him. Let me see what else is coming on. Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker has vowed to put the turnkey program on steroids as part of her administration's signature housing initiative, which is expected to include considerable funding to expand the popular home buying effort. That's welcome news for middle-income renters looking to become first-time homeowners in a tight housing market. It's also encouraging for real estate developers positioned to build and sell those properties. I interviewed a young lady. I'm telling you, we're right on. When you guys ask us for something, we give it to you, right? So I interviewed a young lady who was a part of the turnkey program, had been living in her house for a year. She said she was so happy. Her and her daughter, they bought the house. They've been doing what they needed to do. And then she started, within a few weeks of being there, the neighbors who had always lived on the block got really upset and angry that there were these new people moving on here and there weren't enough parking spaces. And as a direct result of interviewing here on this broadcast, there were people who were listening who jumped in to help her. And I was so happy to hear her. She sent a text message a couple of weeks ago and she said, my God, I'm so grateful that I came on the air with you because all these people now are working together. Her and the neighbors are having better relationship. They're talking to one another. And so things are shifting and changing. So the communication, right? One of the people that was on here, Alexandra, she knew some of the people that lived in that area and on the block. And she brokered a conversation with them to let them know, look, we've got to figure this out with the city, with each other. And so now they have a whole neighborhood association and they're working together. The power of communication, it's a powerful, powerful thing if we know how to do it well and to do it, as the people are asking for it. So as you ask for certain things, we're doing it. This morning, we're going to have Black farmers on, 2 women, and we're going to talk about planting your gardens. What does it look like? How are we going to move forward in that, right? So we're going to be all right. We're going to be all right. As you ask, we give it. Pennsylvania Governor Shapiro reaffirmed the state would provide no funding for any new sports arenas, a possibility that looms with the Eagles' lease set to expire in 2032, and said there were no conversations about bringing NASCAR to Philadelphia as he championed the state's full sports slate next year during an appearance Sunday at Pocono Raceway. So he meant that thing. All right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder won their first ever championship, and they're brand new. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander walked off the court for the final time this season, collapsed into the arms of Coach Mark Daigneault, and finally smiled. It was over. The climb is complete. The rebuild is done. The Oklahoma City Thunder are champions. The best team all season was the best team at the end, bringing the NBA title to Oklahoma City for the first time in its history. So that's good. Jesus Christ, there's so much going on. So much going on. The Supreme Court's conservative majority on Monday delivered a significant win for the Trump administration's immigration policy, clearing the way for officials to resume deportation of migrants to third countries without additional due process requirements imposed by a district judge. The nation's highest court did not explain the decision, but it said that the stay of Judge Brian Murphy's mandate would terminate should the administration ultimately lose an appeal on the merits. Litigation is ongoing, but it is expected to take years to complete. So we want to make sure we pay attention to all of that. Thank you, Sadie. I appreciate your anniversary wishes. Let me see what else is going on here. Jesus Christ. After U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers detained Marine Corps veteran Adrian Cloutier's wife last month, he doesn't know how to tell his children where their mother went. When his nearly 2-year-old son Noah asks for his mother before bed, Cloutier tells him Mama will be back soon. When his 3-month-old breastfeeding daughter Lynn is hungry, he gives her a bottle of formula instead. These are the stories that makes me... I can't read this. And that was written by CBSNews.com. ICE detains Marine Corps veteran wife. Okay, all right. Lord have mercy. Let me let these folks in so we can begin this conversation, right? Is it Latiana?
Yes.
Latiana Tab. Good morning, my darling. Where's your other person?
Good morning. I think she's trying to log in. They had construction on her block and
Okay.
no electricity. Part of this whole mess,
Yeah.
heat
Can
wave
you
and
turn
stuff.
your volume up just a little bit for me, please, sweetie? Just turn it up. We can't hear
Oh
you.
yeah, it was very low.
Yeah.
Okay, how about now?
That's a little bit better. Okay.
I can keep turning it up. How
Okay.
about this?
Keep going. Knock it out. Just blow it up. But when we finish, you'll hear it. It doesn't sound much clearer on YouTube. I just
Okay.
want the people that are listening to hear you. All right, let me see.
Can you hear me now?
Latiana Tab, BGWGT, and it's Black Girls with Green Thumbs. It's a growing community of gardeners seeking to restore their connection to food for wellness and education to heal, nourish, and learn. So Latiana Tab is a co-founder of Black Girls with Green Thumb, has over a decade of experience developing community programs and producing cultural events for mission-driven organizations. She also supports community and educational programming through grant writing and community relations. Is her name Pamia?
Pamia, correct.
Pamia Coleman is a 200-hour certified trauma-informed yoga instructor and has worked in the plant-based nutrition field for the past 10 years. Her passions include assisting those interested in transitioning from the standard American diet. Lord have mercy. Can we discuss? Who to a
She would
holistic
be happy to discuss, okay?
to a holistic plant-based lifestyle. She's an experienced plant-based cooking instructor, diabetes educator, and kitchen manager. Black Girls with Green Thumbs. I am so looking forward to having this conversation. Good morning, my darling. How
Good
are you? And thank you
morning.
for joining us.
I am doing really well. I just got back into the area maybe about 8 hours ago. So I'm back at it. And I brought the heat because I had no idea that it was this
It is
hot.
very hot. It's really hot. So talk to me about how Black Girls with Green Thumbs came about for you.
So Pamia and I, we have been friends since high school. We both went to girls' high together and been friends since high school, went to college together. We worked together. Like we've been traveling with each other's lives for throughout adulthood. But one summer and maybe about 2014, that's when we started our home gardens. But the that was really what planted the seed for Black Girls with Green Thumb. So it was actually the spring. It was my birthday, and Pamia had acquired all of these seeds from her cousin. It was like some sort of yard sale or something. And her cousin's like,
Mm-hmm.
I have hundreds of seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So Pamia mailed me some seeds and a dress for my birthday, and that is the summer we started our gardens,
Mm-hmm.
using those seeds, buying plants, building our raised beds. And then we realized how beneficial it was to our own personal growth, development, our own connection to the outdoors. Like we're outdoorsy women. Like we worked at camps all throughout college. We go
Mm-hmm.
camping. Like that's just part of our leisure.
Mm-hmm.
But like millennials will do, we wanted to tell that story on social media. We wanted to share all of our experiences, both on Facebook and Instagram. So Black Girls with Green Thumbs, the nonprofit, really grew from our desire to share our gardening experiences with our family and friends. And it was just a social media thing that then grew into a formalized organization from us doing like volunteering and creating programming for our friends' children and our own children. And then
Mhm.
now here we are.
What has developed as a direct result of your planting? I think Sarita Martin introduced me. I was talking about doing something, and she said, "You got to reach out to Black girls with green thumbs." She says, "Marva, they're doing the diggity dang thing." I started planting in my garden in 2016. I'm from Jamaica, and so we knew about growing our own foods, our kale, or whatever. For me, it's callaloo. We grow
Yes.
callaloo, right? I still can't get too much with the collard greens because I don't know how to make it well, and so it doesn't come out the way you would do it as Americans. So I know my shortcomings. So callaloo we
Callaloo is
grew.
delicious too.
It is, and right, and full of
Yeah.
nutrition. I grow my own thyme and all of it. Celery, all of it, right? And began talking to people about it, and that you didn't need a big space to do what you could do with the food. What is the reaction that you've been getting from people, especially now in light of what's going on today and everybody's trying to grow a garden? What's the reaction that you've been getting from people about growing your own food?
I would say people are just genuinely curious. And that curiosity, we're open to that. But what's interesting is that the curiosity is really connected with fear. People want to grow their own food. They want to pursue and live more healthy lives. But particularly around gardening, we found that people are so scared of messing up. So what we share
Really?
with people is it doesn't matter. You try because there's so much learning that can happen
Hmm.
in the failure,
Hmm.
and you learn most by doing. So if you are scared or you claim to have a black thumb, or like I kill all my house plants, I kill all the flowers like that I have, it's like no, just try, because every
Hmm.
time you try you're going to learn a little more. You're going to learn
Yes.
to do it better. But also we are a resource. Come out to our programs. We're teaching people like these garden fundamentals. We want to people to know that there's a community around growing your own food. And
Yes.
what we found was really interesting around the pandemic. We were like, look at how important it is for us to create our own ecosystem. Like the we are globally relying on a food system that is really odd because these are things that we can grow at home.
Yes.
If we take a whole block, everybody can grow one plant, we can feed this entire community, and that's just with one plant. So it really became really urgent around the pandemic when we saw the global food system collapse
Hmm.
because I'll just end it
Yeah.
there. That how urgent the need for us to build those skills around like feeding ourselves.
Yeah. I, there's so much I want to talk to you about. Let's discuss the soil, because I think people are afraid of growing their own food because they're not sure what soil to use. I learned growing up that if there's worms in your soil is healthy. So I'll pull up the worms and I'll play with them and talk to them, and my soil is filled with worms. What kind of soil can people just use the soil that they have right now in the ground to start planting, or should they supplement that with a different kind of soil?
I love that you said that if the worms are there, the soil is healthy. So that first summer that I started my garden, I did it with my grandmother helped me. And when I say help, like she was sitting on the steps telling me, do this, do that, do that.
Yes.
She didn't
Yes.
lift a finger, but she was helping me. But that was like one of the things that she said. If there are worms there, then the worms are an indication that the soil is healthy. And really, the worms act as an aeration system for the garden. So it helps air to flow. And then
Yes.
also, there are other indicators that the soil is healthy. Um, I think it really depends. So the question around like if your native soil, if you can grow in your native soil, we tend to be like container gardeners. So I have raised beds. I use, created a garden bed with wood
Mhm.
and created like a new space for the garden. The only things, and this is, I'm not saying that this is a rule, but typically the things that I grow in the ground are more like the ornamental, the flowers and stuff.
Yes.
And Pamia, when she grows food, she grows in containers, but it's mostly because she has a different yard space than I do. So she grows in buckets. And when I say buckets, it could be the Home Depot bucket, the recycling
Yes.
bucket, the trash can.
Yes.
Like if it can hold something, she's growing in it.
Hmm.
But in those sort of spaces, you do want to buy soil. And I will say that we are not soil snobs. Like there are, and I'm making light of it because there are good reasons why people are snobs about the soil
Hmm.
that they purchase. However, we are really about accessibility. And when I say like about the soil snobs, like if you go to Home Depot, if you go to Lowe's or any of the big box stores and they have the, I can't even think of the brand right now, but the brand that you hear is not really good for your soil. Guess
Miracle
what you're going to,
Grow.
there we go. Yes.
Hmm.
If they
Hmm.
have it and you can afford it, get it, because guess what? That food that you grow is going to be more healthy than the food that you're buying at the traditional supermarket anyway,
Yes.
because you're not using those pesticides. So I think
Right.
that we need to give ourselves grace when we are pursuing these
Right.
things, because the soil that is more expensive, it doesn't have the issues of Miracle Grow, can cost 3 times as much. And then that's a reason why you might not grow your food. So, in
Yes.
general, if you're growing in containers, you want to buy soil that is suitable for container gardening. So, topsoil is not suitable for container
Right.
gardening because topsoil is more dense. It's not going to allow the water to drain as
Right.
much,
Right.
or as freely as a raised bed soil or as a vegetable gardening soil. Those
Hmm.
soils have um, properties in them that allow for better drainage.
Hmm.
But we also, when we're preparing our gardens each summer and spring, we amend our soils with compost. So I compost at home. We also have a relationship with the Philly Goat Project. We
Yes.
have school programs, and Pamia gets goat manure and uses the goat manure as like a compost as an amendment to
Did you say
soil.
goat manure?
Yes,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. And you just mix it in with your regular soil. Also,
exactly. Yes,
mushroom
mushroom compost.
compost, right? Mushroom compost. I went to a Ace Hardware store all the way up by Westchester, where you can get a 20-pound bag for $4.
Yes, yes.
$4, Black Jesus.
$4 is good. You
Listen,
rarely are getting something for $4.
absolutely. And so I bought enough to, so I have, this year I have raised beds. And so that we can, put vegetables and stuff. I walked out to the raised bed yesterday with my husband and I was like, oh my God, I got tomatoes, I got peas, I got all sorts of things I grow because
Tomatoes,
it's
peas, greens.
you name it. And
Right.
so, so I hear you. And so, but in the front yard, we do and that's where the worms are. I would love to transplant the worms, but I'm not sure how
Oh, you
I could do
can
that.
pick them worms up and put them in your garden.
That's exactly what I'm
I
going
was
to
gonna say
do.
it's literally that simple.
Yes.
But what I'm like I said, I'm really glad that you asked about the soil, because although we
Yes.
are growing food, you are also nurturing your soil. The soil is what allows us to grow healthy plants.
Yes.
So we need to grow really healthy soil. So we get questions, and this is really centered a lot around like house plants. But I know people are thinking that, especially if they're grown in containers, they have questions around like, are we throwing out our soil every year? Are we replacing the soil? Exactly. No, you are not, because I'm calling it soil, but it's dirt. Why are we throwing
Right,
dirt in
right,
the
right,
trash?
right,
Right.
right, right,
So no, but what you do is like, unless there is a major pest infestation, unless you know that
right.
there is a major like chemical like contamination, you keep that soil, and every year you
Hmm.
are continuing to build that soil with
Yes.
amendments, whether they're granule
Hmm.
fertilizers or compost or manure.
Hmm.
You continue to build upon that soil.
Hmm. You talked about composting. I tried it one year and it just felt like a bunch of, so I was putting banana peels, eggshells, and right now this year I'm putting eggshells in I have a lemon tree, a lime tree
Yes.
that is flourishing like hell. The lemons are getting bigger and it's
They
heavy.
love this heat.
Yes, they do, but they require a lot of water.
Yes.
And so I put some eggshells around it, and my God, the thing just decided to explode. And I have big lemons on it, and so y'all don't come to my house and try to steal my lemons now. This is my first year trying to do that. I have strawberries that are really flourishing. We've gotten over a dozen strawberries off already, and
Ooh.
yes, right. And we have blueberries. Blueberries seem to take a little bit longer to grow and flourish. I'm not sure why. They say like 1 to 2 years before you
Yes.
start to see blueberries on your plant. So let's talk about encouraging someone to plant something simple. What would be the first thing you encourage them to plant? Everybody tries the tomatoes and they have way too many tomatoes and way too many cucumbers. But what would you encourage them to first try and plant that's easy?
Honestly, those two. But what we say is grow what you want to eat, grow what your
Yes.
family eats. So start there, because if you grow what your family eats, you know that you're actually going to consume the food.
Right.
But also you'll be more likely you'll be more likely to commit to it over time if you are
Right.
growing something that you're interested in. And then we also like to say, and if you're curious about something, like if you've never eaten something, you might want to grow that too. But as
Hmm.
far as like ease, tomatoes are so easy, which is why they're always recommended like as that plant.
Right.
But you can look for a small. But what people don't tell you, they say, "Oh, grow tomatoes, they're easy." The second part of that sentence is, and they are prolific. They will
Yes.
continue to grow and grow. So
Yes.
you can get a determinate variety that will stop growing after a certain time. But most
Right.
of the plants that we are buying, the tomato plants, are indeterminate, which means that they're going to
Yeah.
continue to flourish throughout the season. Um, but peppers seem to not come up as far as like easy plants, and they are one of my favorite plants to grow. They're
Hmm.
beautiful. The leaves are so waxy and
Hmm.
small.
Hmm.
Right now, I have two bell peppers. I think I have a Trinidad scorpion in the garden, probably a
Hmm.
ghost pepper. I like to grow like the really hot peppers.
Hmm.
So every year I'm growing like one of the hottest peppers in the world. I don't necessarily consume it, but my fiance, he likes to make shrimp
Oh,
sauces. Oh, thank
congratulations!
you.
When are you getting married, darling?
October 9th.
We were just talking about marriage just now.
Really?
Season 3, episode 3 of my podcast is on a young lady who was married and with her husband. Today is my 10th year anniversary, so I swear to you, it will work.
Happy anniversary.
And when they get on your nerves, call on the Lord, walk away for a few seconds, and say, you know what? Let's revisit this conversation because this didn't feel right. The communication is what makes marriages work, you know. And so I'm grateful. I'm happy to hear that you're
Thank
engaged.
you.
You're getting married locally, or you're going away? I'll be all in your
Locally.
business.
Locally, I had dreams about like a domestic destination wedding. However, there are also family members that I know that would have been like a burden, and I wanted them to be a part of that day. So we decided to go locally, but it's not going to be in Philadelphia. I'm still doing like we're still going outside of the city.
Okay.
So I'm still getting like a little bit of touch of the going away.
You know, Latiana, that's perfect that you said that because guess what? As a direct result, my husband and I were married twice in 3 days.
See,
We had a wedding right here for folks who were not going to be able to join us where we were going. And then we had a wedding 3 days later at a destination. I was like, why the hell did we do this to ourselves?
what are we doing?
So you found the compromise.
Yes,
Congratulations, my sister.
thank you, thank you.
Are you, Erica said, I was just about to ask, how do you get started? Erica, if you want to learn how to do a garden, I'm local to you. Just come. When I say it's really, really easy, right? And so you get a bucket, if you don't have a garden space, like many don't, get a bucket. You can do a raised bed. You can buy a raised bed and you fill it with soil. For me, it was the vegetable soil that I could find that was $3 a bag, $4 a bag, because you're right, it takes about 7 8 bags, 7 8 20-pound bags for my raised bed garden that I had. Plus I added a whole bag of mushroom soil in the middle of all of that, and the topsoil you just kind of just sprinkle on the top, because what's in the middle and the bottom is what's really nourishing the plants, and you'll see them grow. But it really, and I started with seeds this year, Latiana,
Ooh.
and
That,
within
that that's the
three.
mark of somebody that knows what they're doing. Seeds are hard. I tell it because people are like, "Oh, I started from seeds and they died." I'm like, again, be gentle to yourself. Give yourself grace. If
Mhm.
you can go get them plants that the experts have already done, they have
Yep,
already prepared you for
yep.
success. But you started from seeds. Great
Seeds.
job.
Everything that I've grown this year started from seeds. And when I tell you they're blooming, my neighbor next door is like, "What's that?" I said, "Potatoes." She said, "What's that?" "That's onions." Well, I said, "All right, when we start to harvest the stuff, I'm going to share them." And that, to your point, we don't just let the stuff just sit there and spoil, or just do it as a pet project. You start to feed other people in your community. I love your idea, Latiana, of taking everybody planting something different, and you could feed the whole community with that something different.
Yes. So we've been at this house with this garden, right? So when I was looking for a house, I was like, I need space with a house. Like my goal was the outside space could be able to facilitate a larger garden. But on my
Yes.
old block, I started. I had like the first like larger like vegetable garden in the front of the house. So we had front lawns. My neighbors to the left of me, they like after a year or two, they got rid of their entire lawn and planted. I think they're from Sierra Leone, and they had corn and potatoes and peppers and everything. And then I had neighbors across the street who were growing stuff, and it helps to because sometimes, or where we are now, which is which is sad, is that we don't really know our neighbors on our block. We can be there 5, 10, 3 years, right? And you don't know the
Mhm.
neighbor that lives next door or two doors down. And what we found is that the garden helps to, honestly, it creates a conversation. It creates a
Yes.
conversation. You see the neighbor outside. Oh, you want some cucumbers? You might not
Yep.
never have spoken to them a day in your life, but now you're the cucumber lady, right? Or now you're the
Yes.
tomato lady. And it just really creates an opportunity for you to meet your neighbors. And I
Yeah.
know that there was a, like you said, a question like, how do you get started?
Yes.
So you can obviously, what you outlined, yes, it is that simple. You get some soil, you get a bucket or something to put it in. You add a plant, add some seeds, and then you nurture that. But we offer Black Girls with Green Thumbs. We offer public programs and workshops throughout the spring and summer season. So right now we are approaching, I think we just had our second grow and walk. So we have Grow and Walk Philly, which is a program that we're in our 5th year that we run in partnership with the West Oak Lane Library on Washington Lane. And it is a growing and walking program. And we teach garden fundamentals. We're walking together. It's a, what I want to say, like a holistic wellness community in
Right.
the space that we're creating with people. We're growing. I have a whole list of all of the plants that we planted, some from seeds, some from
Wow.
plants this summer. And as I said, like this is the 5th year that we have been managing the garden at the West Oak Lane Library. So in the same way that you go into the library and you get books and you're
I'm trying to
there,
find my pen because I'm writing all of this down. Hold on.
but
The
the
West
atrium
Oakland.
garden, yes, the atrium garden at the West Oak Lane Library is open to the community. So you can go there, you can go and view it. You can use it as a teaching garden and just going to see what the space is. And I'm sure the library director would be happy for you to pop in and say, hey, I want to water the garden. I want to pull some weeds.
Right.
But every other, for Grow and Walk Philly is a 6 week program, 5 to 6 week program that we offer every early spring and summer. And then it leads up, because I also said it's a walking program. So like each week, and it's every other week, each week we are walking to a different destination in that neighborhood. So we're like building up our stamina, building up our strength for this 5K that we run every year. And it's called the
Wow.
Grow and Walkathon. So we're growing with the walkathon. We walk from the West Oak Lane Library to Arbery Park, and we design the walking path, or the walking path, to highlight different open and green spaces in the community. Because too often a lot of programs are centered outside of our neighborhood. So like I'll say with
Yes.
that. And then also with our day to day, we're busy. You tend to take for granted these beautiful spaces or these community assets that are right here in the neighborhoods that you live in. So while I'm from West Philly, I live in Delaware County now. My partner, Pamia, she is a West Oak Lane resident. So we also pride ourselves in working in communities that we have a direct connection to. We do run programs like all over the city, but like some of our core programs are in these neighborhoods that we grew up in or
Yes.
in stuff like that. So we're walking from the library to the arboretum. We're pointing out different gardens. We're highlighting home gardens. We're popping into the around the rec center, and then we have a big celebration at the end of the walkathon. And it's a
Wow.
plant-based lunch that's available. We're hoping to invite out, have like a pop-up wellness fair like we did last year. We're gonna have a DJ out there. Like it's
Oh
just
wow.
such a good time.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. So have you started the walkathon yet?
so Grow and Walk Philly has started. Our second meetup was Saturday that just passed. We are launching a new program today with teens. So our school programs are usually with like elementary and middle school programs. We have not had a program that is centered around teens yet. So we've been doing this since 2016. So we're really excited with the support of some funds from the city of Philadelphia to launch this new program called Gardeners Without Borders. And it's essentially, we are inviting teens to come learn to grow their own food, to build like other DIY, like homesteadish skills,
Yes.
to give them some tools to think about like starting like a green side hustle. So if you
Mhm.
learn how to if you learn how to grow these peppers and these tomatoes, maybe you can make hot sauce and you can sell hot sauce. So just helping to
Right.
plant these seeds around things that are possible with building skills that are centered around sustainability is our goal for Gardeners Without Borders. So this program is going to be hosted at the Winfield Library starting today, and it's for 6 weeks. So it's once a week for 6 weeks. So
All right. You've
our
given me a lot of information. Where's the Winfield Library located?
Winfield Library is 5325 Overbrook Avenue. So it's right like on I don't want to say on the campus of St. Joe's because it's not, but if you know where St. Joe's is,
Yes.
it's right there.
Okay. So 5325 Overbrook Avenue, and that program starts today for teens.
For teenagers, yes. So ages 14 through 18. It's tonight at 5:30. It's from 5:30 to 7.
5:30. I'm glad you're on today. To 7.
Yes, it
Okay.
was well timed, and it's
Yes.
free. It's free, and the kids get a stipend. We're saying we're incentivizing it, but also like you're doing some work, you're learning some things. So we
Mhm.
are providing stipends for the teenagers as well.
Okay. That's awesome. All right. So 5325 Overbrook Avenue today, 14 to 18-year-olds. They're doing at the Winfield Library, 5:30 to 7 p.m. It's free. Children get a stipend, and it's 6 weeks, right?
6 weeks. Every
Okay.
Tuesday evening from now through early August. And all this
Tuesday
information is on our website, blackgirlswithgreenthumbs.org. And then we have Instagram and Facebook, Black Girls with Green Thumbs.
with greenthumbs.org. Because somebody's going to call me or text me about this.org. Okay. Take me back to the other library, the West Oak Lane Library.
West Oak
Where's
Lane
that one
Library, yes.
located?
That is 2000 East Washington Lane. And let me just double check.
Hmm. Okay. So, because what I'm doing is we're
Yes,
going from one end of the city to the next, right?
yes.
So you can be over by Overbrook, or you can do the West Oak Lane Library. When do they meet for their walk?
So for Grown Walk Philly, and that one's open to all ages, and that is Saturdays. So that's bi-weekly. So the next program is the fifth, um, July 5th, and that's 10:30 to noon.
10:30 to noon. Okay. All right. And you're walking to the different spaces and highlighting people's gardens, etc. And you're going to
So
end up at Arbery Park.
well, that's the walkathon. So that's what we're training for with Grown Walk Philly. So
Okay.
Grown Walk Philly, we'll meet at the West Oak Lane Library. We'll do some gardening. We'll do a group workout. We have a professional trainer that'll be on site to do like a group warm up. She's there. Marie and me. She's there every week, every meetup that we have. And then each week we're focusing on something different. So the Saturday that just passed, they did an urban foraging walk. They
Oh
walked to the
wow.
Finley Recreation Center, and Pamia highlighted different wild edible plants that you can, harvest in the city. So some wild edible plants can include dandelions.
Yes.
There's some sort of berry tree. I forgot the name of the berry tree, but there's a berry tree that we have at the garden. Purslane is another wild edible plant that is plentiful in our region. So they did a foraging walk.
Yes. That's amazing.
Thank
You
you.
gave me so much in 20 minutes.
Yes,
This
we
is
have
a
so much
lot.
going on, and that's only two of the programs. Okay,
Wow.
but if you want to know more about us, follow us on Instagram. If you have questions, send us a DM. Join our mailing list. Okay, we're not going to keep promoting their platform. Join our mailing list. You can really stay
Right.
connected to us, and that's available on our website, blackgirlswithgreenthumbs.org, to sign up.
Blackgirlswithgreenthumbs.org. Before you get off the air, talk to me a little bit about, and I wish Pamia was on because I know this would be her thing, right?
Yes.
How much our food has been compromised uh, that we've been eating over the years, and why doing our own natural gardening and eating our foods without the pesticides makes such a difference to us, our bodies.
I'm going to actually connect it back to our earlier conversation about the soil, and a lot of our food has been compromised. So the produce, right? A lot of our food, because we can go on about meats and stuff, but a lot of our food has been compromised because the soil itself is compromised. The soil doesn't have the nutrients. And if we make a connection to like history, like the Dust Bowl in the Midwest, what, a century
Hmm.
ago, that was about the depletion of that soil.
Hmm.
So our foods are largely compromised because the soil is compromised and the nutrients aren't getting into these foods. So, like the tomato that you're growing at home, I know we talk about tomatoes, right? But that tomato at the supermarket is nasty. So many people don't like tomatoes because all they have ever had access to or tried to eat are the mealy tomatoes. When you
Yes.
grow it at home, there is such a striking difference between the
Difference, yes.
taste. And a lot of that has to do with one, like the shortened distance between where you're growing the food and eating the food, right? And
Right.
the distance of it's traveling, but also the amount of nutrients that are in the soil that people in the soil that also connects to the fruit itself.
Yes. Yes. All right. So someone says, can she give the information again? Okay. So let's start with the West Oak Lane Library at 200 East Washington Lane. Is that separate from the Grow and Walkathon?
So, Grow and Walk Philly, that is at the West Oak Lane Library, and that is a multi-week wellness challenge. And it's a challenge because we're all gearing up to do the Grow and Walkathon. So the Grow and Walkathon is really a part of Grow and Walk Philly, but it's our ending event.
Okay.
And that is the 5K where we're walking from the library to the Aubrey Park for our celebration. So that's at the West Oak Lane Library. The other program that we talked about is Gardeners Without Borders, which is
Mhm.
for teens. And that launches today. And we are teaching gardening. We are teaching like other steadish skills. We have a whole other program called Homesteadish, but we are
My
offering
God, this
it.
has become a whole thing for you
Yeah.
guys.
Oh, we have a programmatic ecosystem. We are, like I said, we are resources. We want people to. So one before we hop off, one thing that we have been reflecting on, and like honestly having gripes about, because we have people who exactly across the street from St. Joe's, we have people, our friends, families, like, oh, can you help us? Can you come to our house to help our garden? And it's like, no, we don't do that individual one-on-one thing. We have programs. Show up to our program, and let me, yes, please allow me this PSA. All of our programs are grant funded, which means that we have to collect data points, right? And we
Mhm.
have to be really mindful about community engagement. If you want us to teach you these things, please come out to our programs, because we know that these programs are vital for our communities, whether it's the teenagers, whether it's for you, whether it's for the seniors. And the only way
Mhm.
that we'll continue to get funded is if people
Is if you
actually
show
come
up,
to
right?
the programs, like show up. And showing up isn't just doing a service for us, it's doing a service for you and for our broader community, because we
Hmm.
want to continue to be here 10 years from now. Our 10-year anniversary is next year. So we want to be here in another 10 years. And the only way, one of the only ways that we can do that is if people come out and support the
Hmm.
programs.
Hmm.
And support can look differently. We will accept donations, right?
Hmm.
But we really want people to come out and take advantage of what we have to offer. And we are also open to people saying like, well, here's an idea, and seeing if it fits into the mission. But
Yeah.
please come out and support programs by showing up. So Winfield Library is Gardeners Without Borders. That's for teenagers. Grow and Walk Philly is at the West Oak Lane Library, and that's all ages. And we have some other fun events that we're planning for the summer. We have other programs that we do, like I mentioned, the Homesteadish that's at the Navy Yard. We've been down there
Wait, you have
for,
something at the Navy Yard too?
yes, yes.
What in the Sam there? Now, what's at the Navy Yard?
So that's called Homestead Ish. So that is us leading workshops, teaching people DIY sustainable skills. So we
Right,
just did, we had a workshop last week. And what did we do? We made simple syrups. It was called Tea Time. So we made herbal simple syrups, herbal and fruit based simple syrups, and we use those you can use those sort of things to sweeten and flavor your iced teas for the summer, your lemonades for the
right.
summer. If you're grown, do your cocktails, right? And again, we're using fresh products. If you go and I'm screwing my face up, but if you go and buy the simple syrups at the liquor store or the simple syrups at the market, what's in that? Simple syrup is literally only water and sugar. So this is something that you can do at home, and you can eliminate all those extra preservatives, and it's going to taste better. It's going to make you feel better, and it's going to be
Hmm.
better for you than, and I know it's sugar, right? But it's going to be better
Yes,
for you
yes.
than something that you would buy at the market. So those are the sort of
Hmm.
things that we're doing at Homesteadish, and we're
Hmm.
also connecting that to the program that we're doing with the teens as well.
And how often do you meet there? Lord,
At the Navy Yard, that's monthly. So that
monthly.
tends to be from the spring to the fall. So that's
Oh,
that's a
wow.
program that PIDC sponsors, and we're in our fourth season there at the Navy Yard.
Oh, wow. CG, you keep saying, please name the dirt. It's just regular. Don't get topsoil. We don't want you to get topsoil. Go and find the dirt that says for vegetable planting, right? It could be Miracle Grow, it could be anything like that. But I also learned from farmers in Delco that putting mushroom compost in your mixing with your vegetable stuff makes your stuff grow. And I'm a living proof of that, because the way my backyard looks right now, I look like a farmer John.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
So
So, and
and yes, and if you want to be really particular about it. Like if you can use topsoil, you can create your own soil. And there are formulas for that all online, but you can do a mix of topsoil, mushroom compost,
Mm-hmm.
sand, other
Mm-hmm.
amendments, and you can create and like perlite, you can create your own soil. But the
Mm-hmm.
easy way, again, we're about ease. We want you to
Right.
do it. We don't want to create a barrier. Just go buy some vegetable soil from whether it's
Mm-hmm.
your local nursery or your local big box store, and you will have what you need.
Yeah. Alexandra wants to know anything planned for the Delco area.
Yes. Well, we are trying, we have continued to try to get back to Delco. So back around the pandemic, so 2019. So, oh, this is a great story. Do we have time?
Yeah, honey, it's my show.
Okay.
Talk
All
more.
right. So in 2019, we were actually at the Darby Free Library. We were hosting
Mhm.
a workshop that was called Green Thumbs in Your Community or something like that.
Mhm.
And we first kicked off. It was like the first week that we were 2 weeks in, and then the pandemic happened, and everything
Yes.
got shut down in March. And our funder said, "Shut it all down." But then a few weeks later, they said, okay, like once people got more used to like how we were functioning in
Right.
the world, they essentially said, okay, what else can you all do? So we took all of our program online, like the rest of the world. But we have not been able to come back to Delco full force since
Mhm.
that 2020, 2019 to 2021 period. We're continuing basically to search for funding to get us back. And I say that we haven't been able to come back full force because we are doing, I just like wrote myself some notes. Like we're planning to do pop-ups at one of the farmers markets
Mhm.
this summer. We are going to do a workshop with a teen pregnancy organization. I
Mhm.
think it's Project Elect. We're going to run a program for them because we did get some funds to do something, but we
Mhm.
are continuing to look for funding to seek funding for us to get back in Delco. The long answer to yes, we're coming to Delco. We have not forgotten about Delco. That's where
Yeah.
I live. I am
Yes.
very, very passionate about live, working, and playing
Right.
where you
Where you
reside.
are. Yes.
Yes.
I love your energy. Let's just say that you didn't plant like Marvel, in April, the end of April, early May, and it's now June going into July. What's the best thing to plant now? As Laura just asked.
So it's 100 degrees, y'all, right?
It is.
And we're in the middle of a heat wave, and we know that the heat has continued. The summer extends past September 20th or September 21st
Yes.
these days. So that means that our growing periods have extended.
Yes.
So you can give yourself, you see this theme, grace with
Mhm.
planting, because yeah, the right way, right, is to start like all of our plants in April, May.
Yes.
But if you found some tomatoes, you can plant it now, and you'll have tomatoes in the next month or so, and you'll have
Yes.
tomatoes through October.
Right.
So those like spring plants, you can grow them now because we have like this extended garden season.
Yes.
You can do maybe like in about August, you can start your cool weather plants. So like your collards, your spinach, all of those greens that really prefer more shade, that prefer cooler temperatures. Um, you can do some onions right now. I just got some. So sweet potatoes are really our late June plants typically. So if you can find some sweet potato slips, plant some sweet potatoes, and they'll be ready for you in time for Thanksgiving. I just did my sweet potatoes maybe like a week or so ago.
Hold on one second, Latanya. Divinity Skincare. Yes, we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're on YouTube. A.LawfulTruth Enterprises is where you'll see us. You'll see me talking to my guests. And we are having a good old time over here talking about planting and making sure that we do it. And Laura, that was a great question. So you can plant tomatoes now. Onions are very, very easy to grow. Child, you just my friend Denise coming. I need 2 onions. Pluck, girl.
Yes. And if you have onions, so if you have onions in your pantry, under your sink, in your refrigerator that started to sprout, peel those off. Peel
And
like
just
all the
plant
outer
it.
layers. And you can either put it straight in the ground, or you can put it in some
Mhm.
water for a little bit and let it root, and then plant it, and you'll get yourself some scallions. They might form the bulbs, but you will have something. With potatoes, if your potatoes start to sprout those eyes, you can put those straight in the soil, and
Mhm.
you'll get yourself some more potatoes. If your sweet
Mhm.
potatoes
When
start
is
to
too
grow
late
those
to grow? When is your when is the best time to grow sweet potatoes?
right now,
Really?
yes.
All right now.
So sweet potatoes they need a long growing season. So they could be, I'm spitballing, they could be like 120 days or so. But if you
Mhm.
plant them now, So we're in late June.
Okay.
By October, November, they will be ready. And then you want to
Okay.
give your, and I would say, like, if you really do want them for Thanksgiving or like any
Hmm.
of the fall and the winter holidays, you
Hmm.
want to pick them when you and give them enough time to cure. So, and curing allows the sugars to develop. So you want to cure them in like a human. There's a whole
Wait.
multi-step
So
process.
so wait. You plant them, you harvest them, and then let them cure.
Yes. And if you eat them right away, they're still edible, but
Right.
they won't have that signature sweetness.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Divinity says she's joining us on YouTube because she loves black girls with green thumbs.
Marquita's my girl.
Yes. 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 Now, how do you pronounce your name?
Latiana.
That's what I said. I've been saying Latiana the whole time, right?
Just now you said Latanya, but in the beginning, yes, you did
Oh,
say
Lord
Latiana.
Jesus.
That's
In the
okay.
beginning, I said Latiana. Forgive
Yeah,
me, Latiana.
that's all right.
Lord Jesus. I'm old. All right. So I'm going to do the sweet potatoes. Alexandra says she found you on IG. So good. I'm glad. Laverne says I'm growing my collards on my in my indoor garden.
Yes.
I can't take the aphids.
Yes. So, and that's why plants are seasonal for a reason, right? Just because it grows doesn't mean that it's the best time of the year for it to grow. Like plants are seasonal. So yes, she's growing her collards indoors because right now in this warm season, the aphids are out there, and the aphids and the
And
slugs
they
will
eat
eat.
everything
Yes,
off.
yes. So I'm like always trying to tell people, no, grow plants during the right time. So if you, like I said, like in the cooler season,
Hmm.
that's why they're considered. That's one of the reasons why they're cool weather vegetables, because the pests, the things that eat them, that want to eat them before you eat them, won't be as
Yes.
plentiful. So like I actually just went out. I have a collard green tree. One of my girlfriends brought a collard green tree for us, and I just got it in the ground maybe a few weeks ago. But all they're supposed to be all year that you can have this tree. But them bugs are tearing
They
the collard
are.
green up.
And
So
and
I'm
and I'm glad you said that, Latiana, because guess what? I have bok choy out there, and them suckers are starting to eat. So guess what? I'm going to replant, and I have more seeds, and I grew that from seeds, honey.
yes,
So I'll start growing the bok choy again in August, because right now the,
yes.
the the bugs are tearing them up,
Yes,
eating
and
them
it makes
half
you
to
feel
death.
like that you're having a problem. And again,
Yes.
you want to create ease,
Hmm.
because now you're going to be fighting bugs all season because you grew the plant in the wrong time. If you just waited a
Yes.
few months, then you can actually enjoy
Yes.
the things that you grew. Because I have mustard greens out there. The mustard greens grow up like 4 feet.
Yes.
They are crazy looking because the bugs are eating them.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
done
Yeah.
bolted. So when you also grow things out of season that require like more of a cool weather, they were bulked. So they're at the end of their life cycle, which means that they are going to flower. So when you see like these leafy greens that
Hmm.
create basically like a stem, and then you see like little yellow flowers and
Yeah.
stuff
That's
like that,
exactly what's happening.
because they're done.
Okay, okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Is it best to just pull it out and let it and trash it, leave the soil there, and replant
Compost
those
it.
seeds? Yeah, I'm. Yeah, right.
I
Girl,
know.
here
We're gonna
you
talk.
go, compost.
I'm gonna give you the cheat code because I'm pretending when I say I compost. I'm gonna get back to that. So the if you because you're growing from seed, if you can handle it, right? If it's not bothering you, let the bok choy grow all the way to seed.
My gratitude thing just fell right off. Go ahead. Let the bok choy grow all the way to.
Save your seeds. Let them flower all the way. Save
Uh
your
huh.
seeds,
Uh
and
huh.
then you can use those seeds to grow more. You don't have to buy any more seeds. So that's like
Yes.
what I'm doing with the mustard greens. I'm just letting them grow to seed, and then I'll pull them when I need more space. But so that's one thing. And when I said about the compost, so
Hmm.
I have a composter in my yard. I've had a composter for years. I
Hmm.
cannot. It's supposed to be an easy thing. I can't figure out how to compost effectively. I have a service.
You
I
have
have
a
a
what?
bucket, a service. There are compost services where they will come. You have a 5 gallon bucket.
Tatiana, I'm just loving you more and more. Okay. Okay.
They give you a 5 gallon bucket, and they come and they get your vegetables, your plant waste, and they will just take that away and they compost. So it's another, what I want to say, like a community, it's a shared economy type thing. Shared economy, recyclable. So every year I get a bag of compost for free, like in my subscription. I have a subscription to a compost service. So,
Because I can't take the scent, the smell,
oh,
I don't know what to do with it.
I've been through all of that, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to handle this, because then I tried to. So now what I do, because you can keep that bucket in your house. No, because then there's gnats and it's in the flies,
No.
I'm not doing that. So all of my plant waste that'll eventually be compost, I put it in the freezer first, And then I go out and I put it in my bucket. In the bucket, they give you a lid. You can put it in the lid. You put it in the bucket, put the lid on, and then they come every other week. So I'm just filling up the bucket until they come. Some compost services will even come once a week. So if you're producing a lot of produce waste, of plant waste, you can get it once a week. And it's 20, the one that I have, it's $20 a month. You
What?
spend 20,
Okay,
you
so
spend
you're
$20
gonna so
on nothing.
okay, Latiana. I need that $20 a month. Seriously, because we waste so much that we could actually
Yeah.
be composting, which then would turn to great soil
It's
when we're ooh.
You're
Okay,
helping to
all right.
redirect waste, like it's not
Yes,
contributing to the landfill, to the methane gas, and all of that,
yes,
and the ozone layer, and the reason why we have extended growing seasons. Like I think
yes.
that it's so. If there are ways for us to steward our planet, we should do it.
Yeah.
And I
So
got $20 a month.
listen, I could do it too. It's so funny. Divinity Skincare is on here, Keita. And so somebody says, "Hey, I need some more face cleanser. Where can I come?" Serena says, "I need some Divinity too. Green thumb and a fresh face."
Yes, yes.
They're so crazy. So Laverne says my strawberries keep getting eaten, so I am planting them on my tower garden. So Laverne, my strawberries are outside and they're not being eaten at all. And what I did was when I first planted them, I put a wire mesh around the circumference and then I put a net over it. Right. And so they're, listen, I know they want to eat them strawberries, but they can't figure it out. And I've harvested quite a few. And they're growing beautifully in this, I have a planter in the like a cloth planter that
Yep.
they're in, and they're doing really well. Shakira says, what about cabbage?
You can grow cabbage. It's relatively easy, but that's also a cool weather vegetable. So these leafy greens are cabbages, collards, and also so here's a cheat code, right? The things that
Mhm.
we tend to eat in the cooler months, they're typically like the cooler type of vegetables. So we
Yes.
do a lot of kales, cabbage,
Hmm.
collards, mustards. We tend to do that, eat that seasonally, but those are cool weather plants.
So
So
we
you can
start to
start your
grow them
cabbages.
in, we
Oh
start to
yes,
grow them because I grew cabbage last year and they burned the hell up in the garden, not
yes.
thinking,
They can't
right.
take it. They're those leaves. So lettuce also, they're delicate. They're really delicate and they can't take the scorching sun. So
Yes.
you mentioned like the mesh that you can put over. Some people will put mesh over their leafy greens if they're growing them out of season to help prevent some of the
Right.
it's a protection from the sun. There is some
Right.
shade and it'll
Right.
help protect from some of the pests that will eat them.
Yeah. What's the best time to start growing these again?
August. So
August.
right before the start of the fall. So even so like kales, collards, they say who's the they, but once they get that first frost, that helps to sweeten them up. So
Really?
you want them to be at the end of our the growing season that we typically consider. We want
Yes.
them available then so it can get that first frost so they can sweeten up.
Look at you, though. Look at you, though. This is good. Laura says, how do we grow organic? Is it the seed or the soil? I would say both.
It's both. And it's also a process. So again, be easy with yourself. If
Yes.
the if the dollar store seeds don't say that they're organic, they're still seeds, they'll still grow, they'll still work.
Mhm.
Like so if you can afford the organic everything and that's what your priority is, then do it. But if it presents some sort of hardship, you don't have to worry yourself with the organic soil or the organic seed because what you were doing at your home is loads better than the conventional things that
Right.
we'll find somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yes, it is the organic soil, it is the organic seed, it might be the organic plant, like the seedling that you're buying, but it's also the process. So when we are growing our foods in any of our gardens, both at home and in the gardens that we manage, we don't use any pesticides. So we're using different methods. So
Yes.
Andrea mentioned eggshells. You can crush up some eggshells and sprinkle them around your plants, and they can act as. It sounds terrible, but eggshells are sharp.
Yes.
So if slugs are walking over the eggshells, then it's cutting the slugs all up. They're not going to eat your plant, right?
Mm.
So if you have issues with, especially in the city, in our suburbs right outside the city, with cats, right? If you have
Mhm.
issues with cats and squirrels, you can use cayenne pepper, red pepper flakes, and you can sprinkle that all around your garden, and it will help prevent those animals from eating up your garden. They don't. It makes us sneeze. It's going to make them sneeze. They're not going to come back to that area
Yes.
because it's not a nice area to be in.
Thank you for that, because I have two cats that seem to want to get underneath in the middle of my garden and jump up and try to catch the birds that are
Yes.
eating. What? Like what? Okay, so cayenne pepper, okay, and red
And
flake
one
season.
and one thing that I used to do, and CDs aren't as readily available, but one thing that I used to do is I would turn the CDs upside down so it was more reflective, and you could put CDs all around your garden, and that reflection will keep birds out of the garden too. So I think somebody mentioned like about the struggle with the strawberries that they're getting eaten. Sometimes it's the birds that are eating your berries and your strawberries. If you just have some random CDs around the house, put some CDs out, and it might help prevent the birds. Because I just keep saying I got like a little park out there because it is like bird city every morning.
Yes, yes.
And
I don't mind the birds because I
I
feed
don't
them. I have
mind
both
them.
of them. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So they're fine. Here's the other thing that I use. I mix Dawn soap, a little bit of vinegar, so you can make your own pesticide without killing I also use baking soda.
Mm,
Baking soda killed the weeds, which I'm
okay.
so grateful to notice that. I put a whole box of baking soda out there, and the only thing is it makes the soil, it's so high in pH now. You have to be very careful
Yes.
because you can't plant anything there once you put the baking soda down. So just make sure that you're doing what you're doing. Tiffany, you're so diggity dang late. She says, "Who is this? Can she teach an in-person class?" Girl, she got classes in West Oak Lane, classes over in West Philly, trying to go back into Delco. You want to re-listen, okay? That's all you're gonna have to do. Divinity says, I'm glad you said that. The love we put into our homegrown plants will redeem our bodies and spirits. Speak over your garden. Yes, Divinity, girl. And
Yes.
when I say we talk, I talk to the worms. My husband thinks I'm crazy as hell. I talk to the worms. I talk to the plants. Good morning, my darlings.
Yes.
And so right now in the front of my yard is a whole bunch of flowers. There's a garden inside. I mix the fruits and vegetables with the flowers. But
As
as
you
stuff
should.
starts, right, because they're all pollinating each other and do what it's supposed to do. But as stuff starts to get real in these here United States of the Wakandan, I'm adding more and more and more. This is just wonderful. They're loving this. How about she just woke up, girl? Ain't nobody that we can't help you there. You're gonna have to re-listen because this was delicious. We're like almost a whole half hour past the time, but we needed to do this because this was great. Tatiana, girl. You are everything Sarita said and more.
Oh, thank
I
you.
usually don't go past 30 minutes, 7:30, but we're at 7:48, and I'm just grateful that we're doing that. Tell Pamela she missed a whole show, honey.
I will. I will. She just was like, I can't. The electricity really.
Yeah, oh yeah, that
She
means
was
yeah,
trying.
yeah.
She was trying to
Tell
get
her
here.
we will have you guys back on. I'm taking off next week, so for those of you who are looking for something June 30th or July 4th, go find something else, honey, because Martha is taking a well-earned break in
Yes.
these
Yes.
Wakanda streets. And with today being my anniversary, my 10th year anniversary, I'm trying to figure out what my husband and I are doing today. But I'm grateful to hear that you are engaged and you're getting married, and just live your best life, communicate as best as you can. Don't let nobody tell you what you can and shouldn't do because every relationship is different.
Mm,
I'm talking to you now like you talk to me about plants, okay?
yes. Thank
and,
you. Speak
and
over
just
me. Look, we're gonna
yeah,
bless his
I
garden
am
and bless his
speaking over
marriage.
you.
Thank you.
I am speaking over you. And this was not my first marriage. I done gave back a t-shirt, or two. And so this time around we're older people, and we decided that this is what we wanted to do, and we dated for 5 years and then got married in 2015, and it feels like we've been married for two. It is
Mm,
the most wonderful experience. Sickness, health, rich or poor, all of that's going to happen. So just know, I don't care what people say, there are lean times, mean times, all the things that are going on. And so I'm grateful that you're getting married now because, baby, you're going to need somebody to hold on to as things start to shift and change, right? And I know we love our family members. Keep them out your business too,
mm.
right? You will get into an argument. And I've said this to my son and daughter-in-law. I said, you'll get into an argument and we get all upset with y'all. And then you back together, boo loving and kid. Don't tell us nothing. We don't want to know nothing.
We still mad.
Somebody, Alexandra says, I'm too lazy to make a potion. I purchased Repel All for the critters. It's all natural. Girl, did you read what was inside the Repel that they claim to be all natural? Laura says, Mova, I want to see your backyard. I'm going to charge you for that. Monica says, oh my God, I love this lady. So much good info.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Oh,
you. So, yes, please
oh,
follow us, everybody.
yeah.
Black Girls with Green Thumbs on Instagram, on Facebook. That's our website, blackgirlswithgreenthumbs.org. We would love to see you. And as I said, we have some fun things coming up. So we also have an event called Midsummer. It's a midsummer garden party. So we do that at the West Oak Lane Library.
Wait,
And
stop the presses.
let me see
Glad
if I
we
have
went
a
further. Hold on.
let me see if I
Midsummer
have
night
a date
party.
for that. So
Okay.
Midsummer Garden Party. So save the date. Let's see when this
Uh-huh.
is. But we're going to have live music out there. It's basically like a pop-up beer garden inside.
Okay.
It's a party, a garden, and we're going to have some drinks,
Mm-hmm.
and some food. We're going to have a caterer out there, a grill going with some plant-based uh grilled snacks.
So let me ask you this. Y'all don't eat regular meat?
Oh no,
We
we
don't.
do. I actually both of us do. We eat. It's plant forward,
Is
plant based,
that-
plant forward. We like to prioritize the plants.
I really like you. This is so you're plant forward. Okay, so because I'd like
Yes.
to try more plant based things, but I'm a
Yep.
fish lover, right? And so I'm
Yeah.
very careful about fish not being planted in farms
Yep.
because there's a lot of farming fishing thing going on. So if it's not out of fresh water, but then they're killing the poor freshwater fish with all the crap in the ocean, we're in a
There's
pickle.
so yes, we're in a pickle. You have to make the choices that make sense for you, for your body,
Yes.
your family, and your wallet. And when I was going to say like about the farmed, I wish I, of course, I don't just have a random piece of fish. However, there are if you go to Aldi, right? Actually,
Mhm.
Aldi and Walmart and like the bigger box stores, they all of their most of their seafood has they're part of like this aquaculture something. So they are farmed, but they are better. I read this book called mm, I'm gonna have to send you the book, but it's called something about food. Oh, real food, fake food. Real food, fake food takes you down this
Oh,
rabbit hole of basically foods that can be better for you or like more inauthentic. They have a chapter about olive oil, a chapter about parmesan, a chapter about seafoods and stuff. So that real food, fake food book really informed how I shop.
wait.
Um,
So the book is called Real Food, Fake Food?
yes. So I originally read it like digitally. The book is so good I had to just add it to the library. I tend to get the
Really?
digital books and then make the purchase, the commitment.
Okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
it's some sort of like aquaculture certification that certain certain seafoods that will most likely are farmed, but if they have that certification, it's better for you.
So, okay. So I grew up on an island.
Yes,
Excuse me,
you
but I
just gonna leave
call.
it there. You just gonna leave it there. I grew up on the island. I'm gonna drop that mic.
I'm calling bullshit, right? Because here's the thing:
Yes,
if it's not fresh, you have to consistently push fresh water through, right? How are they doing this? So I hear that they're aqua certified, but what does that mean to us?
but however, remember, globally, it's too many people for this planet. So
True.
as you said, right? Like if we are only relying on the foods that are grown in their natural environment, we are depleting this planet. So if we say we only want the salmon or the tuna
Mhm.
that is wild caught, because yes, we
Right.
do want that. We do want it to
Right.
be wild caught, but
Yes.
then there's this fantasy that we actually won't deplete the oceans or the rivers.
We already are.
Exactly, if we only do wild caught. So we have to be mindful that while it would be nice
Hmm.
if we all could, yes, by Larry Ohm said, it would be nice if we could only eat the wild caught things,
Hmm.
wild caught foods and seafoods, but realistically,
Hmm.
well, but it's just not realistic. So we
Yeah.
also have to consider that there is this huge demand for things.
Hmm.
And so we want to make the better choice, the best choices that we
We
can make.
can, right. And
And
it's part of the reason why our bodies are so filled with diseases, right? Because
yes,
all the things that yo, why are we living in this time? How come we were born back when everything was fresh and we were
I'm
hunting
always fantasizing because I'm like, oh, I probably would have been eating good.
and living longer, right? Because
Yes,
your body, and we're moving more. We're catching the things that we want to eat. We're planting what we want to eat. And now we're finally getting caught up. But we kept saying, plant your own food. Be careful where you buy your stuff. You know, what needs to be eaten. What does fresh fish look like? And a lot of the fish and stuff that we're getting now is coming from way overseas, like China, etc. I
yes. Yes. But that's like, and I'm gonna bring it back to the plants and us being really intentional and making choices to grow our foods because why are we buying garlic from China? Right? Why does China have why are they
yes.
like the leading producer of garlic when we can grow garlic here? We can grow garlic in our backyard. Like it's not an issue
Right.
like the pineapples, right? We really can't grow pineapples in
Rapple.
Pennsylvania. Like so that's a reason why we would get pineapples
Hmm.
from Costa Rica and more of the tropical
But you
areas.
can grow it in the tropical parts of this country, like
We could.
Florida.
We could. But the point is like there are things that we can actually grow. We don't need to rely on globally for them and even almonds, right? We're growing almonds in the desert. Does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. It really there's so much water that almonds and nuts require. So
Need.
now now people are coming back around because there was a big push for all of the non-dairy milks. I'm going on a thing. But there was a big push for all the non-dairy milks and like how much better it is for you than
Hmm.
cow's milk and all that. And those things are true. However, then we want to think about the strain that it puts on the planet. So this huge demand for almond milk, right? How much water does it take to grow the almonds, then to
Yes.
create the milk? That's actually not better. So
Yeah.
we just have to inform ourselves and try to
She
make
wants to know I think we're zone 7 in PA, growing
yeah,
zone.
so we might be I think Philadelphia might be 7B, like the zones like just shifted.
Hmm.
So and they're continuing to shift because of global warming.
Right. Hmm.
But we're like
Hmm.
7A, 7B, depending on in this region, depending on where you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, y'all, I have kept this poor woman on long enough.
And my son,
87
hey,
too.
my son keep calling me. I know he's hungry. I need to.
Tatiana Webb, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Black
Thank you for
Girls with
having
Green
us.
Thumbs. There are people who have found you already online. They're following you on Instagram. Somebody has signed up for the newsletter. And
Yes.
so I'm just so grateful, to you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Thank
And
you.
tell Pamia we need to talk to her too. Not
Yes,
next week, though. Not next week.
I
The
will.
week
And
after.
Pamia can talk to y'all more about the plant-based diet. She can talk to
Okay.
y'all about yoga because that's what she does.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, my
You're
sweetheart. Thank
welcome.
you.
Have a good week.
You too. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye. That was good, right? That was really, really good. It's now 7:58. This is what happens when you have your own show. You can do whatever you want to do. And so I hope you learned as much as you possibly can from all of this. We need to, I'll find out when is the party, Laura. I'll reach out. And I think Sarita can let us know too. I'll reach out to her. The mushroom farm in Delaware. I want us to take a field trip out to Delaware so you can see, get your mushroom soil, compost, get all that stuff. It's really cheap out there. If you are plant-based and you want to eat mushrooms, yo, lots, not just Delaware, in Delco County. So out there by Westchester, not Westchester, Cheney University, there's a whole mushroom village out there where folks are, and all different kinds of mushrooms. And we can try that because they're mushrooms that taste like fish, they're mushrooms that taste like crab, they're mushrooms, and it's easier for you to digest in your body. So Laverne says we completely skipped spring this year, but the rain was good for growing. I agree. Tiffany says, I'm hot, I missed it. Laverne says she signed up. This was awesome. Tiffany said, add me to the list. All right. Laverne says, I'm glad I didn't totally oversleep. Here's the thing. It's so hot right now. It's difficult to move and do anything. When I tell you, if I'm doing stuff today and yesterday, we were so exhausted just walking from the car into the building. The heat will grab you by the throat and shake you. Da, 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 da. So be very mindful. Put frozen bottles of water with regular bottles of water. Put them in a little container, where you can keep it cool and keep it in your car. Don't just have it just sitting there trying to drink hot water. Your car takes a little while to cool down. So make sure you have that in your, what do you call those things? A cooler. But the bag coolers, put frozen water in there, etc. Make sure you get that done. Don't forget Kennett Square. Yes, Donette. Yes, Donette. Yes, Kennett Square. Don't forget that, yep, and the Farmer John has field trips from Philly to Westchester. Yes, every Saturday you meet down by the drive, by Boathouse Road. The bus picks you up at 9:30, takes you out to Westchester. It costs you $0, right? You go out there, you shop, you farm, whatever you want to do, and then you bring you back. Newtown Square, Lion's Mane Mushroom, right? That's the one that tastes like crab meat. Laverne says, yes, I am doing adult field trips this summer. Yes, honey, yes. The mushroom soil, MP, you can get that at any big box store. I went all the way out to Westchester where I got 20-pound bags for $4, right? These said support Black farmers. Absolutely. It's called Ace Hardware out near Westchester. We need, we really need to get our little butts up and go do little field trips and go see what it is, because the mushroom compost, it looks like soil. You just put it, mix it in with the other stuff, and your food grows amazingly. I'm telling you, everything I have in my backyard is planted from seeds. Laverne says, I haven't been getting sleep. I found this some days ago, so I've been allowing that for my body. Good one, darling. And she have a wonderful anniversary day. Thank you all. This episode of Mornings with Mova is officially over. 99 plus comments later. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, darlings. Woohoo. Bye.